I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask you about the billionaires that you treat. Now, these are all American people,
Mostly, yes.
right? Probably never heard the word Ayurveda. In India, when I'm talking about Ayurveda on the show, I have to tread carefully because we sometimes get a backlash from the medical community. And I get why, because there's a lot of fake Ayurveda doctors out there.
Yes.
A real Ayurvedic doctor has to treat every patient very subjectively, very carefully. It's just like an allopathic
Of
doctor.
course.
Um, but the thing is, if someone is not good at their job or if someone's not qualified, they can end up giving an Ayurvedic ingredient to a patient where maybe the need for the ingredient doesn't exist or it's not given in the right proportion.
Yes.
And then you see cases of liver damage, gut damage because of that Ayurvedic ingredient. And I feel this one angle pisses off a lot of Indian doctors. That the fact that over the last 20 years, they've seen a lot of cases go wrong with Ayurveda. I think the culprit there is quacks,
Yes.
like people who aren't qualified. But there are Indian doctors like my friend, the liver doc, who are pushed so far at the other end of the spectrum because of the things that they've seen in their own career. They're coming from a good place. Everyone's coming from a place of healing the patient.
Yes.
So I have to tread very carefully when it comes to Ayurveda conversations. I'm for it. I want the world to know about these things. I also know that there are American content creator doctors. I think Dr. Mike, I don't think he's very for it. And then parallelly, there's an Indian doctor, and they had this conversation in a podcast. Are you familiar with what I'm saying? Okay. I don't know where that debate went. Either way, my point of saying all this is that you're working with some American billionaires who are obviously rational thinkers. They've seen life. I'm sure many of them are self-made. Couple of questions. What ruins their health in the first place? Second question, how do they accept this Indian therapy in the first place? I'm assuming that you show them the scientific proof, the research papers.
Yes. So when you have all the money in the world, you have access to everything, right? You can go to the best clinic, best doctors. What these people are really seeking is an advice that they can trust. So that's the reason why they come to someone like me. I get the same salary, same paycheck, whether I see a billionaire or someone who's homeless, right? So I will not shy away from telling it the way it is. There's one segment of billionaires who come to me who say, give me the latest and greatest blood tests, everything that's out there from longevity perspective. And some people will say, give me the Eastern wisdom. That's what I'm seeking. So people come to me for all different reasons, but I'll tell you where I start with them. There's one question I typically start with when I see people who are highly successful. And I ask them, how do you want to die? I know I sound like Gabbar from Sholay or some like evil villain when I ask that question. And the last thing you want to hear from your doctor is like, how do you want to die? But it is such an important question. And when I ask someone, how do they want to die? I don't mean like in your sleep, gotta buy a car. What I'm asking is what type of physical, mental, spiritual state do you want to be in when death is at your doorstep? The only thing I can guarantee is you're going to die, I'm going to die. We always talk about longevity, adding years to your life, but I want to talk about adding more life to the years that you have. It's a very different conversation, right?
The quality of your body, mind, spirit.
Exactly. And that is something we can ensure. Whenever death comes, the work that needs to go in to optimize our physical, mental, spiritual state needs to start right now. It's not something you do when you get a diagnosis of cancer. And I ask this question whether someone is 21 or 81. It doesn't matter. Age has nothing to do with it. Especially when you meet highly successful people who are used to go, go, go. Sometimes I need to get to their core and shake it and wake them up to see the bigger picture. Right? They're very fixated on the latest blood test and this and that, and I need to take a step back and force them to look at the bigger picture. If I don't do that, it is very hard to motivate them to change something. And one of the biggest problems I see when I meet these people is that as much money as they have, they actually don't have much control over their life, right? They're like, Doc, I'm sorry, I don't get good sleep. Why? Because I'm traveling all the time. What do you eat? Well, I eat on the go. I don't have time to sit down and eat. So the fundamental things that you need to do to take care of your body, it's ironic that they don't have time for it. So unless I shake them to the core and make them see the value of investing in their own health and avoid taking shortcuts, I'm not going to get anywhere. So that's the difference, is I really have to get to the source of why someone wants to be healthy. What does life mean to them? And how is someone going to die?
What's the process from that point?
I help people identify what really matters to them. Where are they lacking, right? If it's in the spiritual realm, if it's in the mental realm, or is it the physical realm? And then we identify a focus area and say, okay, we're going to work on this, we're going to work on this. And physical, obviously, people always worry about the physical part. My knees are hurting. Oh, I have stress, anxiety. I want to focus on that. If I don't work on the mental and the spiritual part, where the source of that imbalance really is, I'm not getting to the root cause, right? So when I help someone see the bigger picture, they're more likely to invest in their own health and say, okay, I'll prioritize my sleep. I'll prioritize what I'm eating more than the meetings or the traveling, right? So they have to see the value in why they're making the change before they actually commit to it.
So the physical part is gauged through blood tests, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
The mental part is probably gauged through a psychologist or a therapist. And the spiritual part?
That's something I do.
Okay.
So asking questions like, how do you want to die? I ask people about, what is their biggest fear? What is the best day of their life, the worst day of their life? So by asking these probing questions, you really try to understand how much work have they done in the spiritual realm? How much time have they invested in that?
Wow.
Because without that, everything else is going to be a Band-Aid, right? I'm not here. I can easily sell people the latest blood tests, supplements, diets, all of that. But I know in the long run, that's not what's really going to give you results. I need to get to the root cause, the source.